Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video, I'm sitting here beneath the East Hills Outdoors Enhanced Deluxe Shader. This is the extra large version. This is something that I've come to greatly rely on, not just enjoy, but actually rely on this. If you're anything like me, well, personally, I just don't like getting completely scorched when I'm in the outdoors, when I'm at the beach, sometimes sporting events. You know, I do go around to a lot of different kids sporting events and, well, we sit there for hours on end, literally baking in the sun. So to have something like this is absolutely instrumental in not just my comfort, but in some ways just my general health and safety. And so one of the things you'll notice about this is the shiny interior. This is sort of like an aluminized interior. But what we're going to look at today actually goes the completely opposite direction. This here is the Falnex Dark Shelter XL. Very similar, and from the people at East Hills Outdoors, this is going to be a very similar shelter to this, only again, instead of the aluminized interior, it actually has a dark interior, which is going to be pretty cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this out, kind of compare it and contrast it against this original and see which one of these might be a great option for you. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. But if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Falnex and East Hills Outdoors who did provide this product for review. Now first things first, when you see this in the travel bag, very easy to bring with you. This is actually fairly lightweight overall and fairly compact. At around 41 inches by 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches and right around 8 pounds, it's not the smallest nor the lightest, but at the same time it is very manageable. This is something you could certainly keep in the trunk of your vehicle, no problem at all. I mean, if you have an SUV, this would be great. If you're somebody with small kids and really looking for something that's going to give you an option to potentially change and, you know, get ready and manage what you need to manage at the beach or even anywhere, this is going to be great for you. Now you'll notice that on this one, it does have some zip down panels for each one of the windows. This also has a zip up front, and we're going to take a look at the dark shader here to look at the features overall, and then again compare it against this original Enhanced Shader Deluxe. Setup is very simple. It really only takes a couple of minutes. Once you get used to this, it's extremely fast and easy, and especially if it's not windy. So first thing, we'll just remove it from the carry bag, and here you'll see nicely packaged up. They do give you this little bit of a strap here just to kind of help keep everything tidy. So don't lose that. You will need it. And for me, I just put it right back inside the original bag. You get some stakes and a couple of tie outs. And then here, this time on the bag, I'm not sure why, but this is actually padded on the bottom. The original was not like this. And I'm kind of wondering if that's just to help aid in longevity of the bag. Maybe on the original people were having problems, but this does seem to have some padding inside, maybe just a little bit of reinforcement. I'm taking a step back now that I compare it against the original. I take that back completely. The original also had that little bit of padding in there, so I guess I didn't realize, and that's just going to help if you're moving this around and kind of banging it off of things. At least you have a little bit of foam in there to help prevent any damage. And again, inside this little pouch, pretty straightforward, just some stakes, and then as you look at this here, some tie outs. So again, just the ability to get this stake down, tied down if you need it. Now, I would say that when I bring this to the beach, do I use the stakes? No, not necessarily, and I'll show you why. There are some real nice pockets on here that allow you to fill it with sand and really get it kind of dug in. And that's what I prefer to do rather than relying on the stakes. But for here on the grass, if it was a little bit windy, these would be absolutely perfect. And set up here, very straightforward, just a matter of minutes. And with that, voila. I mean, maybe a minute tops. So very straightforward, very simple. Goes up quick and easy, no problem at all. And so now you can see I have these oriented the exact same way, with the exact same lighting conditions, just to show you the difference between the original shader and now the dark shader. And well, for me, which one would I go with? Bottom line is, for me, the beach is already bright enough. So I think for me, I would probably prefer the dark shader, to be honest with you, but that's just kind of the way I roll. Now, getting to the inside here, you can see this does have the ability to hang something from the top. So, I wouldn't necessarily expect that I need a lantern, but you could certainly do that. Different items, maybe you put a speaker, something like that would be really nice. You could get some tunes going. You do end up with at least a couple of pockets. So one on the top, very nice and easy to kind of slide some items in there. And then a couple on each side, so 2 mesh pockets on that side, and then 2 mesh pockets on this side. Nice and easy, no frills, but very simple and capable. You'll notice that the door is held on with some toggles, so not only do the toggles hold these panels shut, but they also hold them open. Very easy, and this is pretty typical of most sort of tent-like systems. Now, looking across the top, you can see everything done very nicely, and in fact even seam sealed. So not that you're going to necessarily rely on this to keep you completely dry if it rains, but this will definitely do a decent job. Overall, I do like the fact that they've thought about that, so not just using this for the sun, but just in case the weather turns on you, you do have a little bit of shelter. Now, I find for me that most of the time I do end up kind of taking this particular panel here. You'll notice that this does have a zipper and the ability to open it right up, but I find most of the time I kind of just tuck this inside and it sort of doubles up on the bottom. However, what this is really intended for is sort of twofold. One, more like a vestibule. So you'll notice here a nice wide area. That's going to work out very well if you have smaller children, maybe you have an infant, you need room for them to lay down, you don't want to get sand all over everything. If you're careful, you can kind of keep sand out of these, but just expect that there will pretty much be sand everywhere by the end of it. However, it definitely gives you a nice layout area and the ability to organize all of your stuff. But not only that, this is also a door. So you can completely seal this off if you need to change, if you need to do anything, you really want to just kind of seal it off and get some rest, no problem. So that is very easy. You can completely seal this off altogether. And again, if it was getting a little bit stormy or rainy, maybe you just kind of want to keep everything dry. Now at this point, I've completely zipped these up with the doors so we can give you a comparison of the original deluxe shader. So here again, the aluminized interior, it's still fairly bright in here. Definitely easy to see, no problem. And you can see here, just nicely done. Now looking up here, this original was not seam sealed. And I didn't remember that being the case. And as we looked at the new version in the dark shader, it was seam sealed. So it looks like they've made some minor adjustments. But now on the inside of the dark shader, well, you can see definitely much darker. I actually really enjoy the little hint of blue kind of glowing through here. That's just a cool little factor. Now, I don't know if that was really intended, but the fact that you get that cool little glow, that's kind of nice. Now, one observation is the door is not darkened. So this is not like completely dark. You do get a little bit of a glow off the front door here. I kind of almost wish that was darkened too, because then this whole thing would really be nice and dark. But at the same time, this definitely is much darker than the original, which I do like. And some other subtleties to point out. So this here, this is the light blue color. And then this here, this is the Pacific blue. So the two different colors side by side to give you a comparison. I like them both equally. I think I kind of prefer the light blue personally. It just kind of blends in to the sky a little bit more. I don't know. I'm kind of that blend in and don't see it type of guy, but either way you go. Both very nice colors. And you can see they have made some minor adjustments. Like for example, on the original, this was more like a fabric sleeve. And now they've gone with the mesh, and I think that does a couple of things, but most specifically it's got a little bit of flex and a little bit of give, so it's not going to tug and pull quite so much. It might be just a little bit easier to set this up. And then another subtlety, and not a big deal, but you'll notice on the new version they've actually done a little bit of a better job protecting, with these knuckles and this little bit of a fabric sleeve to keep it so that the joint doesn't pinch at the fabric. Well, here on the original you can see it did not have that. And again, just super minor differences, but just in the overall sort of construction of the knuckle, looks to be about the same, but they may have made a little bit of a hardware change. Both of these were the exact same zippers, so you can see here the new one, Falnex, the original East Hills, and the logos on the side, both done very, very similar. Now, I was mentioning that I did use the pockets for the most part. You can see these pockets are actually on the side of this shader, which allows me to basically fill this with sand and hold it down. Now, the original pockets, they did have this Velcro, which is very nice because if you fill this with sand, well, before you leave, you can just open that right up and dump out all the sand, and you don't end up bringing it with you. And that to me is a very nice feature. Moving forward on this new one, I am noting that it doesn't look like they actually have any way to open this up, and I think that's a mistake. I mean, I don't know if they were having any problems or why, but to me, that is much better in terms of the design. If you're going to use this at the beach and you want to get all the sand and debris right out of there, and you can see there's, you know, still a little remnants of some sand in here, but, you know, I filled this pocket with sand probably, I don't know, maybe 20 times at this point, and I can just dump it right out. I just think that this is difficult where you're already struggling to pack this up. The last thing I want to do is just bring all that beach sand with me. So that to me is a bit of a miss. And so I'd also like to give some brownie points and a kudos to the people at East Hills and Falnex who actually made the storage sack for this the right size. I know it's a minor detail, but at the same time, the last thing I want to do, and well, if you've been following my channel long enough, you've heard me complain about struggling to get the product in the stuff sack or the storage sack. That's the case for tents, that's the case for tarps. I struggle with that all the time. I feel like companies don't make their storage sacks just quite big enough, but again, East Hills and Falnex, they got it perfect. So at this point, a little bit of kudos, but at least I'm not going to struggle to get this put away. And so again, I would like to say thank you very much to the people of Falnex and East Hills Outdoors for providing this product for review. Last final thoughts, what do I think of this? Well, either way you go, if you go with the original enhanced shader or now the dark shader, I think you're in very good shape. I do personally like the dark interior much better. That's just for me. I don't necessarily need any more light when I'm going to the beach, and that's where I primarily use this. And bottom line is, well, usually it's bright enough. If I want the sun, I'll get out of the shade. So where it's a shader, I want the maximum amount of shade, but again, that's just personally my preference. Generally speaking, the construction, very good. These have been more than durable, capable of doing exactly what I need, set up in some adverse conditions and sometimes very windy conditions. And the fact of the matter that you can hold these down works out very well. Now, I've already touched on the point that I think the pockets on the new dark version is a little bit of a miss. I wish they continued to use that Velcro system. I think that works very well to be able to open that up, just dump out the sand, pack this up, and you're on your way. And the other thing that, I don't know, it's either hit or miss, I kind of think I wish the actual door panel also was darkened. There's probably a practical reason why they didn't do that, and I think it might be a durability issue. You know, that is a coating, and once you end up with this door folded down, and if you're using it as sort of that sort of front porch area, it probably has a little bit of a durability factor. But overall, if it was darkened, you'd end up with a real nice dark interior and a place where you could potentially take a nap. Now, could you do that anyway? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think it would get hot in there? I do. I think the temperature is going to rise in there pretty significantly, so you need to use each one of these window panels to your advantage, get some cross breeze, and allow this thing to vent. But overall, definitely nice. I do have to say I greatly enjoy these shaders. It is something that I've come to, and as I mentioned, not just enjoy, but really rely on, and I trust these to kind of keep me protected. You know, I've spent a lot of time at the beach. I am in a beach community, and spending my time out there, well, having something like this that's going to keep my skin from literally frying off of my body, that's a plus. And so with that said, I can say I definitely recommend the East Hills Outdoors and Falnex products. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.